Hey.
Welcome back to Off the Clock Podcast.
We actually, before we get started. So this is episode 8. This is going out when we are in Arizona celebrating our birthday.
Oh, yeah.
So we're pre-recording this 1 week because we will be in Arizona.
Woohoo!
We're literally getting tanned by a pool right now.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I'm
Yeah.
jealous of her right now.
So next episode will be like a little birthday recap.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we have the same birthday, so it's a big celebration.
That's a good point to mention.
We have the same birthday, same year, same everything.
Same zodiac sign.
Yeah, Gemini twins. We're turning the big 2-4. Yikes, that makes me want to vomit. But yeah, we'll do a whole birthday episode next week. So
stay tuned. It's going to be Hallie and Skylar's Birthday Extravaganza.
Oh, it's going to be an extravaganza.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I don't know what it's going to be.
We don't know what we're doing yet.
But it will be good.
Yeah, no matter what we do, it's good. So
yeah. Confidence is key. So today's episode, we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. And if you don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's basically the feeling that you aren't like good enough for something. Or deserving. Yeah. Like there's no way possible that you are in that situation and someone else is better at it or should have it because you're not qualified type of feeling. You can get this with like most things, but we're probably going to be talking about it in the context of career. Just because that's where it's like, I mean, probably the most commonly felt. I'm sure you could feel imposter syndrome about being like a mom or something.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like there's other things in life. I'm sure you could feel this way. But at least from my experience, the most like pertinent, most like obvious place I've felt this is in the workforce.
Oh, definitely.
What about you, Hal?
Yeah, so I have had imposter syndrome for...
I've been diagnosed.
I diagnosed, but I've been feeling the effects of imposter syndrome. I don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
But, like, I've been...
You've had an imposter syndrome.
Yeah, like, I don't know how you...
struggled.
Struggling? Like, not
if
really
you
struggling.
or a loved one has struggled with imposter syndrome.
But the first time I experienced it was probably in college. And like I don't even know how in college, because thinking back on it, I'm like, how is that even like, how did I feel like I had imposter syndrome? Because like,
when you're there to learn.
Yeah. Like like that's the whole point.
That's true.
But it's still hard when you're comparing yourself to other people. I think that's all really what it comes down to. And it could even be like just people in general. Like it doesn't even have to be like a specific person that you're comparing yourself to. It's just like
everyone against you.
Like like designers in general or like things. So being in like my classes in college, I was like, do I even like deserve to be here? Like there's people that are so much better at what I'm doing than me. Was that worded right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But so I was just like, I don't think I deserve to be here. I don't think I deserve to be in art school. I don't think, and like that was really hard all throughout college. Literally all 4 years I felt that way. Because I know that I wasn't like the best in the class. But like you can't compare yourself. Like people have different strengths. Like it's okay. And again, like I was there to learn. So I don't understand. It was really hard to like battle. And it just got progressively worse in the work world.
Right.
But that was the first time I ever experienced it. It was probably freshman year of college. I don't know about you, but...
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't feel it super heavy, like, in the classroom, but I felt it more so when I was doing, like work or, like, projects that were, like if I worked on an on-campus job and I had to like go and film something by myself, or like when I got hired to do more weddings, I was kind of like, you trust me to do that? It's kind of like I know I'm capable. It wasn't like an insecurity thing. It just felt like they don't know that I'm just a little college student. Like, oh my God, I feel like I'm faking it. Like it feels like, especially when you're young, that you're not qualified for something. Or so, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you can do it, but it feels like you're like duping someone almost, because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, why me? Like, you're an imposter.
It's like, it's just the feeling of is there someone better out there that should be doing this instead? Like, are they going to be sad when they, or like something,
right?
Are they going to wish that they they hired someone better?
Like,
or
they
something?
don't realize they're hiring me. Like, oh no, am I misleading them somehow on accident because there's like someone better?
Yeah.
But it's like, no. They hired you because they saw your work, or you got in that class because you graduated high school and you were interested and you got accepted into the college.
Like they looked at your portfolio and decided to accept you. Like, it's,
like, you got there. You didn't like sneak your way in there or like lie, or you're literally in the same boat as everyone else who could have also gotten that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where I felt it the most, is in wedding videography. In classrooms, I just felt like, to me, I never felt pressure from like other classmates. I just kind of was like, I know that we're all kind of here doing this, but it was more so when I was on my own, that I felt like, oh, like this is a big girl job, and like I shouldn't be doing this by myself, type of thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like worse outside of a classroom. That's the first time I felt it. But like, I freelanced for a little bit in college, and that was really hard. Yeah, because I was like, what if they're lying to me? Like, what if they don't actually like it? And it's like, if they didn't, like, they would give you revisions or something. It's just also like about like a confidence thing. Like, I was so not confident in anything that I was doing.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, because I think the moments I can look back and remember I felt that way versus not was like if I was being insecure or confident.
Yep.
And like it goes in waves. So like back then it wasn't like, oh, after a year of filming weddings, I got rid of imposter syndrome. Yeah. No, I would like learn more things and then be really confident, like, okay, these are my shooting settings and like these are the shots I want, so I'm really prepared for this wedding and I don't have imposter syndrome. Yeah. But then like you get new gear or you learn something new and you're like, okay, I'm gonna like try this out, and then you're a little more nervous. So I feel like it doesn't ever like become resolved. It like goes up and down. Definitely. Like it comes back or goes away.
Definitely, because you're always like, I'm sure in anything, but I'm just talking about like a design experience and like photography and like creative as a whole. Like it's always evolving. So like there's always new things and like new things you have to learn, and it's just like new things to be insecure or not confident about. So it's always like, I feel like personally I'm always going to struggle with imposter syndrome, just because I feel like that's just how it is now. Like it's been like that for years now. I feel like it's just always going to be that way. But yeah, like you said, it's always going to like go up and down. There's going to be times where you feel a lot more confident than other times, and like that's okay. Like, I don't know. It's just, imposter syndrome is just like a hard thing to deal with, I feel like.
It is. And I think it's hard because if you think about it logistically, like, unfortunately, it, like, this is untrue and true at the same time, but like, there are a million people that can do my job. But on the other side of that, it's not going to be exactly how you do it. Right. So it's like reminding yourself, it's like cheesy, but it's like, you're unique. Like, you are you. No one could do it like you. Like, that is true. Yeah. To a certain extent. Like, everyone has, especially in our fields, way different styles. But at the same time, if you think about it, like, on a tangible note, it's like, why am I special? Like, Joe Schmo could probably also do my job. So it's like, why do I get it? Right. So I think that's the, like, headspace you have to knock when. Definitely. Like, when you're really in those, like, heavy imposter syndrome moments. Definitely. It's like being like, okay, yes, probably other people could do these tasks, but you have to remember that they aren't. Yeah. And it is you. Yeah. So, like, you just have to accept that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, also, like, the stuff we do is subjective. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like, some people can hate what you do and some people can love it. So, like, I feel like that's also just a hard thing to comprehend, because you're like, I don't know.
It can't be like good and bad.
Yeah. Like, it just depends on what the person likes. Like, that's really all it comes down to, because, like, yes, there is, like, things that are, like, right and wrong, but, like, you can always, you know,
get to an end result differently.
Yeah. And, like, just because, like, the rules of design, or for example, like just because there is rules of design doesn't mean necessarily you have to follow them to a T. That's the good thing about art, is like you can do stuff like that. So that's also like a hard thing that I had to like realize,
is like what you think other people's opinions are
Yes.
might not be true.
Right.
Like
Because
you might think your stuff is crap compared to someone else's because you think yours is worse than someone else's.
right, just
But-
because of what you personally like.
Right. Like if you like someone else's work more, you're like, damn, theirs is better because I like that one
Yeah.
more than mine.
Yeah.
But someone else might not agree.
And it doesn't mean that it's better. It just means that it's a different.
It means that
It's
you
just different.
you might think it's better.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah. So it's all personal preference, but
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. It's just hard.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't know, growing as a designer, it takes a lot, and like it weighs on my mind a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I've gotten better with it. But still, I'm sorry, this lighting keeps going up and down.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
But yeah, it's
gonna be a lifelong process.
I definitely think though that like there was a point when I entered the world
Oh yeah.
that like it definitely got really bad because I think it was just also the situation I was in. Like I don't know if we want to touch on that yet. But,
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so so when I moved to Colorado, I didn't have a job, and it took me like, I think it was like 3 months to find a job, to even get an interview. Like that was also another thing that was like really weighing on me, because I was like, I'm sending all of these
Every day that
applications.
goes by, you're
like I'm like sending all these applications, I'm not hearing anything back, which I know like is a really big thing right now that a lot of people are struggling with, and the job market is just so bad. But it was like the thing of like not hearing anything, and I'm like, I'm sending these people my portfolio, and like I'm just literally not hearing anything. I'm like, can I even do this as a job?
Like no reassurance. You're like,
none.
cool, so I actually suck.
Yeah, so I was like, damn, like, okay, I can't get a job in my
Especially
field that I
when
want.
our field is subjective, like artwork portfolio. Like portfolios are more important than resumes with our job, so it's kind of like, cool, so I'm literally ugly.
Yeah, it's
like my work's ugly.
Yeah, it's like I literally suck. So that sucks.
It's not just like tangible skills, like good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's hard.
It was really hard with that, and then 3 months went by, and I finally got an interview, and I was like, hell yes, let's go. So I went to the interview. It was my first big girl interview, and I was literally shitting a brick. But whatever, at the end of all of that, I got hired, and I accepted the job.
I wasn't sure if there was like another one.
No, so the job I'm in now was the only interview that I did.
Really? That's impressive.
Yeah, and I know it probably sounds like I just took it because it was the only thing I had. If I really didn't want the job, I would have said no and kept looking, but it was so great.
Perfect,
and like the people that I interviewed with were so great, and they still are, and I'm still there, and I love it so much.
Good.
So that was really hard in the beginning, and so then I started working. It's a startup, and I was their only designer. So
It's like everything falls on you.
Yeah, so I was like, damn, okay, here we go. So I started, working. Since I was the only designer, it was really hard for me to kind of get past that imposter syndrome, because I was like, damn, like, are they only hiring me because they need a designer, or because they're a startup and they can't like afford someone like that's an actual
like
established designer,
$100,000 salary UX designer.
Yeah. So I was like, damn, like literally did they pick me just because I'm a cheap like
right out of college.
Had no experience, kind of, except for freelancing kind of thing. And so that was really hard for me to get past, and
because that has some truth to it too.
Yeah.
I think as we age, that won't really be an issue.
Yeah.
But I think that adds to it when you're young, because you're like, I'm young, so I don't know anything, and I'm just seen as the college girl.
Right. So yeah, that was like really hard to kind of get past, and it kind of still is, but I'm not the only designer anymore. So we have Skylar and we have a few others too that are so great. I love everybody that I work with, but because it was a startup and I was the first designer, I went from just like their regular designer to their senior designer relatively fast. Like, it was less than a year. And that I was like, damn, like, do I even deserve this? Or like, am I just like getting this because we're hiring people under me? Like, that was like really hard for me to understand, because I was like, I know that there's senior designers that are like so much more established and like things like that. So like, that was really hard for me.
Like, why me?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they hire out a new person?
Like, why wouldn't they hire someone above me? Why wouldn't, but I had to take a step back and be like, they believe in me. They're investing in me.
Yeah, they want to
like,
just do that for fun.
Yeah.
It's like a big decision.
And I'm very, very, very thankful for them. It was just really hard for me to kind of get past. And like, that is what imposter syndrome is. It's like, do I actually deserve this? And then a few months later, I got promoted again, and I was like, again, less than a year, and I was like, damn, like, do I even deserve this? You know, like, every time that like I get it, I'm like, are they just doing this because I was the first designer? But like, no, it's that they believe in me, they invested in me, have leadership skills, I can be a leader.
There's a ton of other scenarios that could have happened, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Like, you could have been fired. You could have, like, they're not going to make that decision just because.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I hope you've at least, like, processed that. And
I did.
You feel good about it now.
Yeah, no, I definitely did, because I also feel so much more confident in myself now. And I think that you honestly had a big part of that. Like, you're a big part of why I feel so confident in it now.
Thanks.
Not to get so
because I tell you how it is. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
This is XYZ.
Yeah. Not to be cheesy, but like, it is true. It's really helpful. Like, everybody that I work with is really supportive, and I know that I can go to talk to them, but it is different having a best friend who you were friends with before you started working together.
And the same field.
Yes. Like, it is so different. Like, I can literally fall back on you and be like, is this like, am I going crazy, or is this true?
That's what I was going to say. I don't necessarily know, because my first job was a little different. Like, I was kind of on my own in a way, but different. But I'm sure when you're in a void, you can just think of all these scenarios.
Yeah.
You know, when you're literally the only one in that position, or like that sect of a business, I'm sure you can start to spiral and have like just random thoughts like that, because it's like you have no one to like bounce it off on. Like,
it was like kind of hard. But yeah, so it was
good.
just, I'm a lot more confident in myself now as a designer and as a leader. So it helps a lot to just be confident in yourself. I'm not saying that I don't have the days where I'm like, damn, do I deserve this? Right. But it's a lot better than it used to be.
Good.
So, yeah.
Good. And also something that I've kind of feel like, I don't know if this kind of has to do with the age thing I was talking about, because I would say like at my first job, so I had a different 9-to-5 when I first moved here, because I just got hired with a company Hallie works at in February full time. So the first full year I was here for like 9 months, I worked there, and I was doing like social media and things like that. And that in itself kind of felt like no one made me feel this way except myself, right? Which is the whole topic of the episode. But doing social media and being the youngest person in the office and being a girl, like, I felt like I was just like the little blonde college TikToker. Yeah. And so like I was the only one who made myself feel that way. And I didn't think what I was doing wasn't important, but it did feel like not like as respected or something. And I do think age has to do a lot with that. And the older I'm getting, I'm realizing that like working is fake, and we're all just like get in our cars and drive to our little office and like type on our little computer and then make little money and buy little food.
Yeah, we're not
like,
saving lives here.
Right. Yeah. It's just like working, like it's all important, but I don't know why, like when you're younger looking up at all these like people, you think that like they have something you don't, but we're all just all adults and we're all just figuring it out. And just because like we were 22, like trying to navigate that doesn't mean that like, obviously we don't have experience, but I don't know. I just feel like I feel more like a peer. The older I get, I feel more like a peer than like everyone's the boss of me. Yeah. And I think that feeling is going to obviously with age grow, but I think that's something that, I don't know, I've learned even in just one full year, trying to feel more like a colleague to someone than trying to be like, oh, you're my work dad or something.
Yeah, I think also go with that, it's also a generational thing.
Yeah.
Like the people who are older and they do look at, you know, other employees probably, I'm just assuming,
as like
probably
their grandkids or something.
Yeah, because like the older generations have such a different outlook in the work world than like our generation does. So I feel like that also has something to do with it. Not saying our job, I'm saying like,
no, our job doesn't even really have,
no, not at all. Like, but from what I hear from like my sisters or other friends,
my first job had older aged employees than our current company.
Yeah, and they just look at work so differently than like our generation would. So I think that also has a really big like part in it.
It does. It's like a societal change.
Yeah, because like we even talk about like when we have like clients that are like our age, like you can, it's just such a different relationship.
I love working with Gen Z because I feel safe because we get each other.
Yes.
More so than working with someone who's literally 50 years older.
Yeah, and then like the older generations just have such an easier time yelling or putting someone in their place than our like the younger generations, and that also has a really big, I don't know, thing to it. Not that I ever experienced it because I haven't either.
Not in a hostile way.
No, I haven't. I've never felt age has been a problem in where I work, but just hearing from other perspectives, it just could be really toxic. And I'm sure that has something to do with like your imposter syndrome, like because like they kind of look at you as less.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And even if they actually don't, like my situation, that wasn't even a truth.
Yeah.
You still feel that way.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like something that I value a lot is I really am a person who craves like I want people to be proud of me.
Yeah.
That's something that I like need. I need reassurance, and I really like to be like, look what I did. And then I like them to be like, good. Like that's something I need. So when there's someone 70 years old that works in your office, you're really like I don't know, naturally you want them to be like, great job, kid.
Yeah.
So it's not even like they made me feel that way, but it kind of just naturally, when someone's like old enough to be your grandparent, it's like you want to like kind of act in that kind of way.
Of course.
Like it is kind of hard to act like a super like normal coworker with someone who is that much older than you.
Well, that's why like I've never worked outside of like this job in the real work world, but from again friends and everything, it's like it's kind of like the work, like especially like corporate America, I feel like could be super toxic because of those older people. It's like you have to be so professional in that environment, and it's like no you don't. It's not like you have clients coming in and out, like nobody's seeing you except for your internal like peers.
Definitely.
So it's just like toxic work environments, I bet would
increase
a really, like I bet it would be really hard to kind of because they do, like especially because the older generations say they don't like Gen Z in the workforce, and like okay, that beats us down too, because it's like damn,
thanks for letting me try.
It's like just because we talk more, like I sent Skylar a TikTok yesterday. It's like Gen Z loves to yap in the office, but they were explaining why it's good. It's like you can have actual relationships in your office and not toxic ones. Like if you just talk like normal humans, maybe people will be happier.
That's true. You're not like tiptoeing around people trying to like say things super proper. Like, like I can already tell from my first work environment to now, and this also could have been me trying to not sound like stupid or be the talkative one, you know, like especially as like a young girl, or woman, you do want to like not come across as like annoying, which is sad, but just from the difference, I feel like in our current office, I can just be Skylar. But at the other one, I felt like I was cosplaying as a worker.
Right. Like, we're allowed to have personalities.
Right. And it wasn't even, like, bad. I just felt like I was like, oh, I'm work Skylar. I'm marketing Skylar. But here, I feel like I'm just myself. And It's not like I'm, like cosplaying or something.
And that's how it should be.
And that helps imposter syndrome a lot because I feel like we're not all like putting up a front in front of each other trying to like pretend we're these certain personalities and like these are our titles and these are our personalities and these are our little outfits. But like when it is those other places, that's a little more like, like maybe like cut the convo or like let's not like say so it's a little different. So I think having a comfortable work environment, like comfortable, when I say comfortable, I mean like completely comfortable. Like just I can act like myself. That is a big bonus to like not feeling imposter syndrome.
Yes, definitely. Because you can just talk freely also. Like it's also easier to take like critiques when you can be a normal person.
Right.
Like if my boss doesn't have to sit me down in a separate room and be like, this is like, no, like you can't do that. Like if you can talk freely as like a group and like explain like why you might be doing something a certain way or why, like open dialogue is great. And if your boss can take, your criticisms too, like things that aren't working maybe, that is so helpful.
That's actually so true.
Yeah.
Because I like comparing it to my one other office experience, it felt so like I had one review in my time there and I was so anxious. If I had a review at this job, I wouldn't be anxious. And my performance is similar. I wasn't like working differently. I just think the way it was like presented and hyped up and like it wasn't like we're constantly talking about casually like, oh yeah, sorry, I messed that one up, or like it's feels like so there's more like elephants in the room, or like it's, I don't know.
And that's another thing, like it's good to have a boss where that like it's okay to make a mistake. Like I feel like that's also a big thing, like bosses who are like, if you make a mistake you're out of here. It's like we're human, like we can make mistakes, like it's okay. And that is helpful to imposter syndrome too, I just feel like, because if you're like, oh, I can't make a mistake, you second guess everything you're doing. And like, why am I here? And things like that. Like,
that
just spirals.
I've never like experienced that in a workplace, but I could see how that would ruin someone, because then it's like mistake equal bad. And then it's like you don't do mistakes. And then it's like, okay. So I'm basically like crippled and I can't do like my hands are tied. Then.
So that is why I think that's why like I was able to get so much more confident in myself, is because I know I'm in a safe environment and it's okay if I make a mistake. Like I don't know. I think just being, in a comfortable environment is really helpful to kind of controlling it. But again, it is a hard thing to control.
It's tricky because even if you're in, like, for example, us, in an actually, like, perfect work environment, it's still your own head. Like you were saying, you got promoted and you were like, why? Like, it doesn't matter. Having that space definitely makes it easier, because I feel like if I was constantly being critiqued or like walking on eggshells, I would be not in a good place. But it's, you can't escape it completely just from that, because it's still very much an internal thought, because nothing your boss or like workplace could be doing, like they're at the end of the day, they aren't the reason you have imposter syndrome, like even if they're doing everything wrong, it's still like a feeling that it's internal.
Definitely.
So I don't know. I feel like, do you have any tips on how to avoid it? Like, is there anything that you can think of that
that's a good question.
You've tried to like do, or like when you've had imposter syndrome in the past, what like type of headspace do you have to be in, or like anything to get out of it, or does it just kind of naturally go away? Like,
that's a good question. I think most of it is kind of subconsciously that I do. But because I'm never like sitting down and like saying, damn, like I feel like I shouldn't be here. What can I do to fix
That's
this?
true.
But I think that what helped me is kind of not thinking about it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, because if I sat down and thought about why I think I don't deserve it, oh my God, I would go down a freaking rabbit hole and spiral out of my mind. So I think just like kind of taking a step back, looking at what you do, looking, you know, kind of just like thinking about like when your boss might say like, you did something good, hold on to that, and not hold on to that, but like think about that and be like, damn, like, okay, if they wouldn't say that unless they actually thought it.
Right.
Like, they're your boss. Like, they aren't your friend. I mean, like,
right.
But
they're not just going to be like,
yeah, they're not just going to
right, like, good job, Hallie.
Yeah,
like, it's like, it's more sincere because it's like they're specifically noting that.
Yeah. And I also had to just it's more about reminding myself, I think, like reminding myself, if they didn't think I was able to have this leadership role, they would have hired someone else. But they had faith in me. I must have showed some type of leadership skills before getting into that role to make me get to that point. So it's just kind of reminding yourself, if they really, because they are like, it's their business. So like, obviously they want the best, or not the best, but like, obviously they want people that they have faith in to be in that role. So if they really didn't have faith in me, they would have hired someone else.
Exactly.
So just keep reminding yourself of those kind of things. That is really helpful. You'll still always have those moments, but I think just like, you know, that I don't think I ever did anything like actively.
Specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a creeping feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, doesn't just, like you said, it's not really like one day you're like, damn, I don't deserve to be here. It's kind of like a subtle like background feeling, and then it like kind of goes away, and sometimes you're like, oh, I feel like that. Like you like sometimes like notice it randomly. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of with all things, like even anxiety and like other things, like sometimes you can be really anxious for a while, and then other times you're like, life's good, like nothing's wrong. So I do think it's similar in that way. Like there's really no like check solved, like it's just always gonna be back and forth. But something to go off of what you were saying about like your boss like giving you like positive reinforcement basically, is that like you have to, if you're gonna beat yourself down about something or like listen to a criticism or give yourself criticisms, then you also have to do the opposite. Because if it kind of reminds me of like hate comments, because it's like so easy to like read bad ones, but then if there's more good ones, you focus on the bad ones more, even though like you have to give yourself that at least. Like if you're holding on to one thing that's really bothering you, then you also need to be fully comprehending the compliments and the good criticism. You can't just like brush those over like, good. And I think it's hard to like what you were saying, like actually soak it in and like replay that in your head, because I feel like sometimes like when someone says something good, you don't really like fully process it, because it doesn't strike a chord as hard as like something negative does.
Definitely.
Like when you hear something negative, it's like, oh, that's in my head. Yeah. Not gonna leave for 10 years.
Damn, that's such a good point.
But when someone says like, oh, like even like normal, like, oh, you look beautiful today, you're like, thanks. But you're not like, oh my God. Yeah. And then but if someone said, you look freaking ugly today, you would be thinking about that way longer than if someone said.
Or even if someone was like, oh, you have something in your teeth, you hold on to that even though it's fixable. Like, and that I feel like has a strong meaning to it. Because you could hold on to something that's bad that you can fix, but you just hold on to it and dwell on it, and that's just really hard. Like,
if you're gonna dwell on those, then also dwell on the others.
Yeah,
because it's why do we like weigh them different?
Yeah, like give yourself some credit.
And I think that's like some sort of chemical brain thing too, because it's not even on purpose. Like it does take more effort to really fully soak in the good.
Yeah, it really does.
And I don't know why, and that's kind of annoying that our brains don't work that way. Yeah, that like I wish our brains received positive things in the same like you know, like when someone says something like negative, or like I'm terrible at feedback. Like, whew, that's like my weakness. I'm really not good at like constructive criticism at all. So like, you know, when that happens and you like get like a pit in your stomach.
Yeah.
Like, why don't we get a pit in our stomach when we get a compliment?
Yeah. Damn, that's so sad when you really think about it.
I know. So just trying to like know that and take, if someone says something nice to you, like take it seriously. Yeah. Don't just be like, oh, okay, thank you, you too.
Yeah,
like
actually, they're saying it for a reason. Like people can think nice things and not say it. Like they wanted to tell you.
Exactly. And that's what you were kind of saying about the boss thing. Like your boss isn't just gonna be like, oh yeah, good job. Like they're gonna, if they're saying like a full like meaningful conversation, if they're saying X, Y, and Z, they thought about it, thought they needed to tell you. Like it wasn't just like a passive comment.
Right. Like we've both worked on some bigger clients in our office, like our job, and our bosses, with first some of those big sites, we would sit down, you know, review it with our bosses, and like of course there's times where they're like, oh, can you change that? But it's just like, it's always like, hey, like, we just change that to this? Like it's never anything bad. But when they say the good things, they obviously mean it, because that's like a big client for us. Like they want it to be like perfect. So when they give good feedback, it's like, damn, like they actually mean it, because if they didn't, they wouldn't let us send it to them.
Or it would just mean it was okay.
Yeah.
Like if something is okay, I'm not like, oh wow, I love this.
Yeah.
I love this part of the website. Right. If it was okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of what we do is okay. Yeah. Like in my opinion, it's like not everything you're gonna do is like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Right. But like when that happens, it's like, damn. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I thought this was like good. I didn't know it was like great. Yeah. So when they say that, it's like it's better than normal. Yeah. Like, come on.
Exactly. And like they're saying it for a reason. So we should just like, you know, take a step back, think about, you know, that like, you know, we're doing a good job, and it's okay to say that we're doing a good job.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and just another note on the whole thing is sometimes it can feel like, why me? But also, like, do you believe in soulmates?
Yeah.
You do?
To a point.
Like, do you believe that like there's only one person out there for you?
Oh no. Because you can love multiple, like you get different phases.
Right. Hopefully not. Hopefully you find your one person and they're great. Yeah. That's not going to happen with the job you're doing either. Yeah. You're like, yeah, anyone could do that job, but at the end of the day, that's just like how the world works, and just be grateful that you're in it, I guess. Because it's kind of like you can dwell on like being like, I'm not the soulmate for this job. And like that can like make you sad. You're like, oh, anyone could do this job. But it's just not how it is. Yeah. Yes, someone else could do the job, but that's not how it is.
Right. And it's also like depends what phase of life you're in.
Like someone else could have dated Jared, but they're not. It's me.
That's what I mean.
And like, I'm going to be his life partner.
Yeah.
So that's
what I mean. Like,
accept it.
That's a good point, comparing it to like relationships, because like like maybe someone you dated in the past, like just because you didn't end up with them doesn't mean you didn't love them. Right. So like it's the same with jobs. Just because
that's what I'm saying.
You
like
left that job doesn't mean you weren't good at it for that point.
Like yes, 100 other people could do your job, but they're not. Yeah. And you're in that position, and you are doing it. And you just have to be happy with that and accept it.
That's so true. Wow, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really just take everything with, you know.
Yeah, like just it is what it is. Like there's no, when you're like down the rabbit hole of imposter syndrome, you're like, why me? Why me? Why me? Because it is. Yeah.
They believe in you.
The same way that like my other friend, I don't have her job. Yeah. Like it's just, that's how it.
That's so true. That's so true.
And that's just the way the world works. Like,
yeah. So I really think just like be confident in yourself. You're there for a reason. So just like take that and roll with it, honestly. And obviously, like nobody's perfect. You know, you're still gonna have those days, but like at the end of the day, you're literally there for a reason.
And guess what? I bet your manager or your CEO also has imposter syndrome.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe they don't right now, but I'm sure they have getting to where they are.
Definitely.
So my manager had imposter syndrome and now she doesn't. So, but you know what I'm saying, for real?
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, I don't think it's a unique feeling. So just know that everyone's kind of going through it and everyone's like, what are we even doing?
Yeah.
And it's scary, but we're all just like doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's comforting.
I feel like, at least to me, I feel like it is.
It's happening to everyone.
Yeah.
So just knowing that is comforting to me, because I'm
Same.
like, I get that way and then I quickly snap out of it because I'm like, okay, but
Yeah.
I feel like we're all kind of freaking out
We
because
all-
everything's fake and we're all just working.
Yeah, we all don't know what we're doing. We're all taking it day by day.
Uh-huh.
Like,
fake it till you make it.
yeah, it's truly fake it till you
Yeah.
make it. Because sometimes there's days where I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying, but I'm saying it and it's working. So,
It does work
yeah, just
and everyone does it.
yeah, have faith in yourself. You got this, and you're not
Yeah.
alone. So
No, definitely not.
yeah, but yeah,
Comment below if you have any like tips or tricks for imposter syndrome. I'm sure, you know, it's kind of like what we said, there's no solution, but if there's any like mental, like a quote or like any mental kind of ways to think about it that help you get out of it, let us know,
definitely.
because we could all use more.
We're all here to help each other.
Because you can only use one for so long before you're like, need a new one
Yeah,
to
it's
convince
like, that's not
yourself.
working anymore.
Yeah, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know.
Yes, comment below, subscribe, all the things.
Rate, follow, sub,
Yeah.
comment, like.
Yeah.
How many more are
I
there?
don't know. We do have, make sure you're following our social media. We have not been posting on TikTok or anything, but we will be.
Yeah.
But our Instagram follow, we're going to be posting more on there and everything.
Everything's in the, if you're on YouTube or Spotify, if you're on this, it's in the description.
Yeah.
All of our personal accounts, our other accounts, if you're on Spotify, our YouTube is linked. If you're on YouTube, our Spotify is linked. So
yeah, so just take a gander.
take a little quick sneak peek at that and
Maybe
click
give us a
around,
follow.
tap around, click around, depending on what device you are on.
Yeah, so we hope some of this helped you maybe or opened, I don't know, your mind.
Your third eye.
Your third eye. But yeah, so thanks for watching or listening, and we hope to see you guys next week
For the birthday extravaganza. Mark your calendar.
Woohoo! Birthday party. But yeah, so this is Hallie
And Skylar.
and we're
Clocking off.
Bye.